In a few years, we went from this to this, from this to this, and from this to this. I think we agree it's really starting to go crazy. However, in car companies, large teams manage the design process. In state-of-the-art studios equipped with cutting-edge technologies to design fashionable cars. However, the reality on the streets reveals a problem somewhere. Obviously, Mr. and Mrs., everyone who sees the car as a simple means of transport to get from point A to point B, will accept what is proposed to them without asking too many questions. True enthusiasts are never fully convinced by recent cars, according to the author, a car fan and designer who has worked in the automotive industry. I ended up asking myself, despite the cutting-edge tools and the huge resources at disposal, what could have made modern cars so ugly? The offices of a car brand, it's a huge anthill. With style being the top factor when buying a new car, it's no surprise to see a large crowd. In the design studios, interior designers create car interiors, while the color and material design team defines the atmospheres, materials, and paints that will be available. The exterior design team is responsible for drawing the bodywork and giving the car its street aesthetics. I was part of that team. Of course, design doesn't work alone and has to work with other professions. Engineers are essential, whose mission is to transform ideas into industrial reality. And marketing, known as the product department, which gives advice on the type of vehicle to design and how to make sure the cars sell. So if in general designers and engineers are real car enthusiasts, the people in marketing, they're not always the case. To give you an example, it's our friends in marketing who invented the improbable silhouette of the coupe SUVs, but that's not really the worst. They also create cocktails of misguided ideas based mainly on sales stats, like the Audi SQ5 turbocharged direct injection. Too sporty for comfort, with a non-sporty diesel engine, a 4x4 appearance that can't overcome anything, weighing over 2 tons empty. So for consistency, we'll come back later. Well, that's the first problem. Another often ignored element is that the design process is very lengthy. Generally, it will take 3 to 5 years between the very first drawing and the release of the vehicle at the dealership. The production stage after design finalization takes a minimum of 1 year. This makes the designer's job quite difficult, since you have to create a car 5 years in advance that should be up to date when it comes out 5 years later. Imagine how you have evolved over the past 5 years, how technology has evolved, how society has evolved. 5 years ago, no masks, little teleworking, no Instagram Reels or TikTok. Remember that fuel prices in France hit a record high of $1.60 per liter in 2018, while it has now become quite normal, and that makes me want to cry. We agree that modern car production is overly complex, involves too many people, and remains extremely slow, as society, consumer needs and desires rapidly change. So it could be the perfect culprit to explain how cars have become so bad for the majority of enthusiasts. The problem with this explanation is that the process is the same for all car manufacturers. Some automakers still manage to offer stylish cars occasionally, suggesting there must be another reason. If we see more and more rotten designs, we might wonder if it's not the designer's own fault. Automotive design is a highly selective and competitive field. Keep in mind, there are more fighter pilots globally than there are active automotive designers. We can't validate the hypothesis that current designers are simply bad. Designing cars today is a specialized job with specific codes, requiring particular training to access the field. There are a few notable schools in France, but that's not the focus of this video, so I won't elaborate. If you want names, let me know in the comments, and it could be the subject of another video. The problem is that our generation no longer has great stylistic inspirations, as was the case, for example, in the 60s. At that time, the world lived at the pace of the space conquest, a great project that transcends humanity and opens doors for the collective imagination. In the United States, during the Cold War, it's a vital topic. Many everyday objects are designed to reflect this grand dream of progress. The cars, they directly take up the codes of the space industry. Family sedans emerge with vertical fins, reactor-shaped headlights, and silhouettes aesthetically inspired by rocket fuselages that would lead humanity to conquer a new world. In hindsight, these examples may appear somewhat whimsical, but they still mirror the 60s collective optimism about America's bright future as a pioneer in space exploration and economic growth. Sometimes, the style is subtly guided by technological advancement, like in the 90s when we moved away from the all-square design. We witnessed the emergence of objects with rounded curves and soft shapes known as blobjects. This stylistic trend emerged primarily due to the advancement of computer design software and non-uniform rational B-splines technology. Fluid shapes without edges enable novel object or car designs. However, we currently face a significant problem. We are facing many challenges today, especially regarding the environment. We constantly hear about degrowth, polluting less and consuming less. And in response to that, the ultra-dominant trend of the last 10 years in terms of style is minimalism. However, when it comes to car design, let's be honest, it simply doesn't work. The car can't be minimal as it combines the most diverse elements of any everyday object. It can be said that it's a concentration of nearly all human knowledge compiled into one object. Minimalism doesn't work well when applied to cars, which have around 30,000 components on average. There are no good examples of minimalist car design. Every attempt at creating a real car falls short of the collective imagination's expectations. If you know of a good example of a mass-produced, genuinely minimalist car, please share it in the comments as I'm very interested. Ultimately, the bad designer theory falls apart, particularly when examining concept cars beyond production vehicles. We see amazing things being done today. In fact, it's quite amusing when people discover a concept because they always have the same question: why don't they release this model at the dealership? It's well known to all people who study or work in the artistic field. To be creative and innovative, you have to set constraints. Without constraints, we go in all directions, and we don't have anything to frame the brain to find a fair proposal. With constraints, we stimulate imagination and force ourselves to find creative solutions to answer questions. Constraints often lead to exploring ideas not considered under normal circumstances. A bit like Pierre Soulages, the painter who set himself the constraint of only painting in black all his life, and whose work has become so unique that it is considered a master of contemporary art. This is a good example of creativity and innovation, through constraint only. In the car industry, we are dealing with a different level of constraint, which in this case is much more toxic. How do we go about reducing the price of cars? Finally, how do we reduce production costs to increase margins? It's very easy. We carry over and reuse as many existing parts as possible instead of developing new ones, which is hell on earth for a designer. You can have the world's best ideas and drawing skills. Using parts from another car, such as a windshield, headlight, or body panel, significantly restricts the potential for creating something appealing. Carryover is increasingly widespread, and you must be aware of it. But there is another method, even worse in terms of designer freedom, but ultra effective in reducing costs. Shared chassis, it's the ultimate weapon for car manufacturers to make money. To put it simply, we outright reuse the entire technical base of a single car under different bodies to sell several models, always without having to develop new elements to avoid spending money. The issue with this approach is that it results in cars that are poorly proportioned or unoriginal. In the Volkswagen Group, the star is the MQB platform, which hosts the Polo, but also the Tiguan, Touran, T-Roc, T-Cross, Passat, Audi A3, Audi TT Golf, Seat Ibiza and company. Making a city car like the Seat Ibiza on the same base as a Touran complicates the process significantly. The numerous car models are too similar, leading to two significant drawbacks. This dramatically diminishes the appeal of cars, and similar examples abound, highlighting the pervasiveness of the issue. At Stellantis, formerly Peugeot Société Anonyme, we have the 308, 3008 DS, 7 Space Tourer, 508 Rifter Berlingo, Toyota Pro-A, 100 IT, Opel Grandland, Opel 100 Ombo, 100 e-tron, 105 Aircross and Opel Astra, which are all derived from the EMP2 platform. And that is widespread everywhere, to such an extent that even luxury can't escape it. The common point between the Urus, Q8, Q7, Bentayga and Cayenne is the modular longitudinal matrix Evo platform. We won't single out just Volkswagen, as the Rolls-Royce Cullinan is essentially a rebadged X7. Yeah, it hurts the heart. Another interesting point, since we're talking about 4x4 here, about big cars, in the end, aren't all cars becoming huge? We don't pay attention to it because it's been happening gradually for years. The growing car fleet is clearly one reason we can conclude that cars are becoming increasingly unattractive. To enhance safety, we incorporate systems and technologies, expand impact deformation zones, and strengthen the passenger cocoon. Cars now have more options, leading to increased size. Compare the size of a Mini from 1959 to 2020. Imagine that a current BMW 3 Series is the size of an older 5 Series, while a current 5 Series matches the size of a 1980s 7 Series. It won't improve soon, as manufacturers struggle to sell new models with reduced trunk space, safety, equipment, or space compared to previous versions. Be cautious. Safety features may be beneficial, but ancillary elements like massage seats that only serve comfort should be considered carefully. We have the right to say that it's a bit ridiculous after all. In any case, it's an element of response to understand what has changed in the design of modern cars. If modern cars are getting uglier, it's due to several factors and the overall context. Designers themselves are often unsatisfied with the end result. Production constraints significantly impact the project between the final design and the car's release. So, to make things better, make the right choice the next time you have to choose a car, whether it's new or used. I assure you, every car manufacturer has an office responsible for monitoring sales figures, statistics, and market trends. If you're passionate, live your passion. Buy, pamper, and drive cars that make you dream. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. This is crucial for two reasons. First, if you're a true car enthusiast, it ensures you won't miss our regular car design analysis videos on this channel. And the second good reason is that it lets us know that you appreciate our work, and that always brings pleasure.